You know, he definitely stepped up and has been there for my daughter. And I definitely have been there for our sons. Even with that, Kevin told me his mother has her story, but then he has how he viewed the situation.
Yeah.
And that prompted me to talk to my daughter, because I could think I'm this great mother, but what if my daughter doesn't really think so? We would have conversations. And sometimes they would say stuff that we didn't like when we asked that question, like, so how do you like it that now me and your dad's together?
Hello, and welcome to another amazing episode of TMC, where we are here to help you take your relationship from surviving to thriving.
If this is your first time joining us, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell, go ahead and share so we can get this content out to great listeners like yourself.
Today on TMC, we have our very special guests, Mr. Kevin and Miss Alicia Meeks with Married with Children.
About the Meeks is that we are a blended family. We don't have any children together, but we blend our family so succinct that you wouldn't even know it. All of our children are not step. We are a family of one. So
love it.
That's one thing I would say about our family.
Yes, we have 3 children. When we got married, I brought my daughter and he brought our 2 sons, and we came together. Our 2 oldest, they're grown, they're adults now. They're one just graduated from Eastern University of Illinois, and our younger daughter, she is a junior at Xavier in New Orleans. She's a cheerleader.
Wow.
And our youngest son, he will be attending high school this year. So we almost empty nesters, if you think 4 years, down the line, but we have custody of our youngest son. So that's really a huge part of us creating the Family Dynamics podcast, because we went to court for visitation and the judge gave us custody.
Wow.
So it was shocker. A year after we got married, blended and came together, and it has been ups, it has been downs, and that's why we just here. And from that, prior to me marrying Kevin, I was in a domestically violent marriage with my daughter's father. And God blessed me to be out of that marriage. And I was a singlemom.com, all-star cheer and everything else. And then God found a way to bring us together. And then when we got together, I wrote a book. It's called When the Soul Cries. And that is a compilation book with me and others talking about our trials and tribulations that we went through, but persevered to give somebody hope that they can get through something too. And so from there, once Kevin found out all the things that I had been through, then he just was spoiling me left and right. And I'm just like, embracing it and frantic. I was frantic. And so I was posting about it, but I wasn't getting the same reception as I was with the drama.
Oh, wow.
With the drama, it was, girl, what else happened? But with the spoiledness, it's like, and literally, I am not lying, a relative called my phone and said, people are getting tired of seeing Kevin and Alicia. You might want to just maybe post once or twice a week, or
wow.
I said, you might want to just delete me, because you don't run my page. And God brought me out of the foolishness. And why can't I boast and brag about what's in my life currently? Don't judge me off the chapter you walked in on, but you particular, you were there for the foolishness. Like, you should be happy with me that God have blessed me. So then I created Spoiled Wives Club. Because I need to create my tribe. Women who are happy to be married, and the husbands that spoil them. And it's nothing wrong with being loved that way. And I need people to know that it's okay.
Absolutely.
It's nothing wrong with being loved that way. And it's not just spoiled with material things. Like, Kevin knew that I told him, like, he listens. Listen. When they say study your spouse, he took a class and passed because he one day went live on Facebook just to pray for me.
Wow.
Because I had told him I had never had a man other than someone in clergy pray for me.
Wow.
And so like it's things like that, like the attentiveness, but people was tired of it. So because I wouldn't be the spoiled wife without him spoiling me.
Absolutely.
So we are the founders of Spoiled Wives Club, which is also a community for women who are wives and women who aspire to be wives.
Awesome. So we have family dynamics. We have the Spoiled Wives Club. Let's tell us a little bit about how you guys met. Let's talk about that a little bit. How did you guys meet each other?
Right.
Oh man, that's a crazy story. So we've known each other most all of our lives because of the way our family had intersected. So honestly, my wife and I, we have a distance in age.
I'm the oldest.
She is the oldest. She is, growing up, she may have been out of my league, when you get older, there is no.
I actually didn't know how old he was until his mother just kept saying, like, you look so young. You look younger than my son. And she said it once, twice, 3 times. I'm like, well, how old is he? Because when you're older, it's not like you, hi, how old are you?
Uh-huh.
You don't say that. It's just y'all know, like just in this communication, he seemed like an old man, right? And so he just was talking and we were having educated conversations and it was just so intriguing talking to him. Like I never knew that he was younger than me. My husband had a baby when he was 13. So that might have grew him up maturity wise beyond his years, and which made it undetectable that we weren't the same. Undetectable. It was undetectable. I'm telling you, I was shocked.
To answer your question, it was a time where paths had crossed, and she was single, I was single, and we was at her grandma's house for just a gathering, and there was this song that came out. That I can't remember what the song was, and she was doing this slide. And I really was intrigued. It's like God was like, man, you should look at that. And I really liked what I saw. So I had to pursue, fellas.
Right. Absolutely.
So that's what came about with the Meeks. And from there, and we got married, went for 6 months of dating.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I know a lot of people ask, even my children have to continuously ask me the same thing. Like, why did you marry in 6 months? Why did you marry in 6 months? Yeah. I feel, and it's a nugget for a lot of people that's on the fence. My wife couldn't show me anything more. Like I cringe when I hear these 5, 10, 20-year engagements. She couldn't show me anything more than she's showing me now. I'm still 8 years, 9 years, going on 9 years, is unpacking layers of her. Like, I met her at a stage 8 years ago. It's no way she was stamped in time and that's how she's going to be the rest of her life.
Come on.
Like I have to move with the growth of her. So I'm already behind. So I'm going to wait 10 years to say, aha, that's my wife. No, I knew first, like, no, I can deal with that.
Because it don't take all day to recognize sunshine. You know what I'm saying? So
all you have to do is open up your eyes, right?
I'm just saying it don't take all that. And so when men are, I'm waiting to see, what are you waiting to see? Like, what's going to happen? They're going to do a trick of
a dance,
because we're going to constantly evolve and constantly change. So that person that you even proposed to is different a year later. It's different. So it's like, just do you want to be with this person?
I like that.
And so then for me, I had been single and celibate for like 5 years after the divorce with my daughter's father. And so I had already told God, like, I'm gonna let you do this because clearly what I'm picking is wrong, and I had a lot of shallow thoughts in the first marriage, like, I need a tall, light skin and this and that. But over time, as I was single and celibate, I learned, like, girl, your focus need focus. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm raised in a household of strong, independent women, my mom, her sisters, or whomever, and they're strong and independent, it's like, we're not giving nobody no round of applause for what they supposed to do. Oh yeah, I'm saying thank you because I've been doing it on my own for these 5 years.
Absolutely.
Thank you for taking out that garbage because that was a constant reminder. I promise you, it was almost like sadness on every Tuesday, my garbage day, to know that I got to take out this garbage. It was an indicator that I was single because I had brothers, I had a father. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, at my mom's house, once my parents separated, I did have to take out garbage, but I'm just saying, I had gotten so used to not touching garbage that was just a clear indicator. And it's just the little things like that yes, ladies, we can appreciate them for the little things.
Absolutely.
We can appreciate them for that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be these grandiose gestures and, you know, we love those too. But you get what I'm saying. So basically, we've been knowing each other since we were children. He decided to finally try to talk to me one day when I was least expecting it. That's when you get out of your own way. When you were least expecting it, that's when they're going to show up. And it was quick. It wasn't a planned thing. And when he proposed to me, we went to marriage counseling like the next week or something, premarital counseling. Our pastor, rest in peace, he was like, so what are y'all waiting on? Like, what are you waiting on? Do you want to get married? And so I'm like, well, he was like, we could do it right now. And I'm like, no, let's wait. That's not the look I was going for. And so then we went home and talked about it. And Kevin, like, I wouldn't have proposed to you if I wasn't ready. And so then that checked me, like, you shouldn't have said yes if you're not ready. And so we agreed and we got married in our pastor's office in the presence of 2 women, my mother and his mother. Nobody, our children, no one knew for 6 months. Wow. That was the best time of our marriage. Because you didn't have unsolicited advice, opinions, judgments, none of that. So we eventually had the Cancun wedding. And it was a year and a half later, but initially we wanted all the blessings. And so we just got married in our pastor office in the presence of our mothers. And I'm thankful because my mom died in 2019. And I'm thankful that she was able to be not only at the wedding in the pastor's office, but also at the Cancun wedding. So
Kevin, Alicia, y'all already said a mouthful. I have 50 million directions I want to go with this. But Alicia, you talked a little bit about being reared in a household with strong women. What do you think are some of the effects that has on us as women in our relationships and in our marriages, being raised and reared in a household, you know, for the strong women? We're not giving nobody applause for what they're supposed to be doing.
You know, the negative effect was that I had to rewrite my thought process. Because it's a great thing to be raised by a strong woman.
Oh yeah.
And I'm hoping that my daughter zones in on the fact that you can do all things through Christ. But also it does make it difficult for someone to love you at times. Because at times it depends on the man that you have. Like, I'm a very strong woman, and I know that my husband is here because I want him. I want him initially, right? That was my thoughts. I want him. I want to be with him. But today, God knew what I was going to go through. And now it's, I need him. You know what I'm saying? And it's in a different way. It's not the way that the basketball wives need those men. It's a whole spiritual way, because you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
They need them in a different way. I need him in the way in which I'm away with my sorors. I'm an AK, if you haven't noticed. With the pink and green. But I am away with my sorors. And the first person I want to call is my husband. Like, if somebody irritate me or somebody make me feel good, whatever it is, the first person I want to call is him. Like, I want to, and I said it. I was at work one day, and this person at work was really working my nerve. And one of my coworkers came and we chatted it up. And I said, I can't wait for Kevin to wake up. And she was like, what? We was just like, we resolved it. And I'm like, no, I need to talk to Kevin because Kevin de-escalates me. Kevin feels me. Kevin is a whole motivational speaker, you know, and he'll have me feeling so empowered when I get off the phone with him.
Right.
For real, like he will talk you down off a cliff, baby, and have you thinking like you are Michelle Obama. Like he will get me together. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Just seriously.
Yes.
And so I think that initially being raised in a household with a strong woman, it came with more positives than negative, but those few negatives were like, you don't need a man, you got this, and which you can if need be. But if you do have a man, ladies, he won't stay long with that attitude.
Amen.
Because a man does need to be needed.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's my spiel on that.
Absolutely. Good. Kevin, you went live to pray for your wife because she said she never had a man other than someone of clergy pray for her. And I applaud you for that. And I want to know what was like going through your mind. What was your thoughts when you said, let me go live and pray for my wife? What was the thoughts behind that?
Yeah. It wasn't like a show, but I wanted to also show that the person that I am, that I also want to give you something larger than me. And I just displayed it there. Like, I think a lot of times with social media that we display the perfection, or we display the negative, depending on where our emotions go. Right. But what gifts are you giving to the person in your life? Like, I think that prayer is a gift that you give. It's a selfless gift that you can give to someone. That's why I chose it as a gift, and I chose to give it on live, because that's something that I haven't seen in my life. There's a lot of people doing it now on social media, but I wanted to give her that gift that I'm going to give you something larger than me. And that's the gift of prayer. And selflessly, has nothing to do with me. This is strictly for you.
Yeah. So
that's just where I was at with it. And I continue to pray for my wife in private, while we're together in our own time. It's because I'm limited in my ability as a husband.
Come on.
So I have to deploy something that's larger than me, because I will get it wrong. And
so you all have 3 children, 2 adult children, and 1 getting ready for high school. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Our oldest son, he has graduated from college. Our daughter is a junior, and our youngest son, who lives here with us, that I told you we gained custody of, he is about to go to high school. And that was a whole hot mess, blending our family, just to be honest. In a lot of our podcasts, we share with our listeners that blending the family has been the most difficult aspect of our marriage, because that's 3 different households, that they're coming from, because my daughter with her father, both of the sons have different mothers. And so those are 3 different environments. And so each child has 2 environments that they're juggling. And I felt sorry for them at times, you know what I'm saying? Because we're doing things our way here, and then you have to assimilate there. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it can be a lot for them. And we're still just winging it and trying to get it right, because we don't have perfect relationships with all of our children for whatever the reasons may be. I'll speak on my daughter for now. I never raised a young woman. And so I get, like, I'm listening to those things that my mother said to me when I was growing up, like, 2 women in one house ain't gonna make it. And like, I'm just hearing her, like, I'm trying, like, dang, what did my mom say about situations like this? Right. Because she's my mini me, but I pay the cost to be the boss up in here. So I don't know what to tell you. So, just raising children without a blendedness is difficult. But then imagine the blendedness. Like, I'm thankful that Kevin is the stepdad that stepped up. He definitely stepped up and has been there for my daughter. And I definitely have been there for our sons. But even with that, Kevin told me, I think I heard him he was being interviewed on another podcast, and he was saying how his mother has her story. But then he has how he viewed the situation.
Yeah.
And that prompted me to talk to my daughter, because I could think I'm this great mother, but what if my daughter doesn't really think so? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those are conversations that have to be had. And through our parenting with our children, we used to, you know, when they were all here often, you know, every other weekend with our one son, and then the other two were here, we would have conversations. And sometimes they would say stuff that we didn't like when we asked that question, like, so how do you like it that now me and your dad's together? What's different? Do you like it? What would y'all like different? Like I do have a master's in psych, so I like to psychology counseling psychology. So I do like to talk. I like to communicate. And I gave my daughter a voice. She needs a filter, but I gave her a voice. And our sons, they weren't so much. So like you would be guessing what they're thinking. I don't want to guess. I want to ask you this. And initially they were apprehensive because they weren't so used to being able to freely talk. You can freely talk, but it's a way you need to say it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm interested in what you have to say, you know? And so my daughter's used to it since birth. So her filter is 0 to none almost, and she needs one. But I'm thankful that she's able to express herself and how she's feeling about whatever it is. It just needs to be in a respectful manner. Like, I'm here for it. I want to hear, I want to know. You know what I'm saying? Especially in this day and age, because the children in this day and age, you know, unfortunately, children are committing suicide, and they're having a hard time because social media is making them feel like their life isn't good enough, or they aren't good enough. You know, so I can only imagine the stress of having your life recorded all day, every day as a child. Like, imagine some of the things we did. If all that in the creek, or, you know, like you running ding dong ditch and they caught you on their Ring doorbell, you know, just every little aspect of, you know, the little things in life, but they make a scene out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Our kids are great, and blending our family has been a challenge. It's good in some aspects, and it has been a challenge because we often become this household between the three households. Like, it becomes like we become the bad, because we're trying to create a structure. Not only that, we're trying to create a balance between what negative forces that you have at the other parents' house. And also, especially with my children's mothers, sometimes mothers, I've seen, they feel threatened by the wife. So we often drawing straws and trying to fix situations when they come to visit or while they're here. So being in this family dynamic, for the reason why we named our podcast that, is that it's not traditional. So we're often having to fix situations on the fly, because there are times when her daughter is feeling uneasy because we may be doing just something for the boys, because they don't have that blood connection, that physical connection as blood. So you have to nurture and cater to even adults, our young adults, that, hey, I still love you. I'm just doing it for this one child. I love you. I'm just spending time with my wife. Like, it's a lot sometimes. But it's doable.
So let me ask you this, because I'm just trying to grab a little bit more clarity for the TMC listeners. So you guys blended family. So how long, I guess, it's been?
8 years. 8 years.
Okay, so 8 years. So 8 years. You know, 8 years ago, because you said they're in college, getting ready to graduate college.
So my daughter was like 12, 13 when we first started dating, and we got married in 6 months. And then our son was like 15, the oldest son, because don't forget, Kevin had him when he was 13. So now he's 22. He'll be 23 in December. And so the youngest was 7 at the time, and he came to live with us when he was 8.
Wow. And that's why I wanted to bring that up, because it's really interesting, because, I mean, you're talking about teenagers. You're not talking about, you know, 6-year-old, 5-year-olds.
So the blending was difficult.
Oh my goodness.
Because they were already set in their ways. And, you know, on the low, my daughter probably wanted me back with her dad, because that's all she knew. She wasn't born out of wedlock. We were married. You know what I'm saying? His sons, that's a different situation with each mother. One, they was very young. That wasn't even a relationship. How could it be? You know what I'm saying? They were 13. It was no intention on the relationship. I don't think at 13. I mean, you know, I don't know. This wasn't okay. And then this, I mean, because I don't want to speak for him. I wasn't there. But but you know, and so that's what made it difficult, more difficult than most, I would assume. Like if my husband would have came in my life when my daughter was much younger, like let's just say right after I divorced her dad, she was 5 when me and her dad divorced. That would have been a totally different dynamic than when he came in her life at 12 going on 13. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, your trees at that moment.
Yeah, they hard to move.
Hard to move it.
Once you plant a tree and it grows up and gets sturdy, it's hard to.
That's where the challenge comes, uprooting stuff.
And that's very interesting. So I want to go here with this question. So for someone maybe in a similar situation, maybe 2 teenagers coming together from 2 different homes, mom, dad, whichever one, like looking back 8 years ago and saying, you know what, maybe I should have did this situation different, or maybe I handled the situation the way it's supposed to be handled. You know, how can you help us, you know, someone that's dealing with that or getting ready to go into a relationship like that right now?
I would say for me, I think that I would have immediately created them boundaries between my children's mother and my wife. There are times when I wanted to conflate the relationship for it to have a cohesive dynamic of everybody loving each other. And a lot of times it doesn't work like that. We want it to, but it's hard when people have had previous relationships. You know, some people are doing better than others, and some people are still in love or still, you know, have a thought of maybe we'll get back together later. Absolutely. So I would have immediately not tried to say, oh, well, we can all work together. The truth is we can't. We have to work independently and have a standard of this is what is best for the child.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Gotcha.
You got rights, because see, he thought he didn't have no rights. And that's how we ended up with the custody. This woman was withholding visitation for no apparent reason because she was in her feelings. And I just so happened to be working for the Office of Adoption and Child Custody.
Oh, wow.
And so I was a child advocate, and I would go out to the homes and I would interview each person, and I would write a report to tell the judge who I think should get custody and why. And I would suggest services. So when my husband's going through it, I'm like, you don't have to deal with that. You got rights. You can. But we went, and who knew the judge was going to give us the custody? We were just going for the visitation.
Wow.
And so that's why we created a resource. And we do have a book that is a family planner. And if whomever, whether they were married, divorced, not even either, and they would just have a child together, any high conflict situation in which custody of the child is at risk, if you go through our book and you complete the pages, you will have a parental agreement amongst both parents that can be entered in a court of law. Because when you go to court, so he can help men to know, like, you have rights. Let me show you how you can get your visitation. Let me show you how you can get the custody. Because a lot of people don't know these things, and everybody's not as transparent to offer it. When we sought legal services, they told us, oh no, he's not going to be able to get custody. And because I knew what I knew, oh yes, you're fit and you're in a 2-parent household, and why not? Why can't you have? And we were going for visitation. But yeah, that's empowering to have those resources, you know, to provide a person that may be in that situation.
Absolutely. And what is that book called? What is the name of that book?
That book is the Family Dynamics Family Planner.
Okay.
And so if you go through this planner, you know, in the beginning, we're introducing our little family. And then we go through the definitions of what the definitions are in court, because it's not custody anymore. It is shared parenting. It also just gives them information as to the statistics. It gives case studies of people that we've worked with to help them get custody of their children. or visitation, or just to empower them to know that they can. Because everybody isn't ready for a fight in court. But if you are, this book can help you do it. Because the first thing that the judge is going to say, if you want custody or visitation, is they're going to send you to mediation. And in mediation, the judge is going to ask you to come to an agreement. And they want both parents, because ultimately the judge doesn't want to make this decision for your family.
Right.
They want you two parents to come together and decide on your children's behalf. And if you go through this book, we go through it all. We go through the extracurricular activities and, you know, things, because we have to focus on the children and what's in the best interest. See, that's my area, y'all. I also was a child protection investigator, because I'm here for the kids. It's about our children. And that's why we started our marriage off with trying to be so cohesive, because it wasn't about us. But if you don't have the other alternative parents that are also on that same page, it can't work. You know what I'm saying? So the book is on our website, the Family Dynamics, or AliciaMeeks.com.
That is awesome.
Yes,
You definitely given some information. So Alicia, you have a book that's titled, tell us the name of that book again.
Okay, I have two books. One book is entitled When the Soul Cries, and that's the book about my domestically violent marriage with my daughter's father. And another book is called Journey to Becoming a Spoiled Wife.
Okay.
And that book, my husband presented to me like, you need to talk about your journey. Like, I hear these women keep asking, like, so how did this happen? And you repeat it over and over. Like, you need to write it in a book. And then the same happened with my cooking classes. You know, my mother was born and raised in New Orleans, and I know how to cook, or as my granny say, turn around in the kitchen. And so many people kept coming to me. You know, the pandemic was testing relationships and marriages.
Oh yeah.
Because the restaurants wasn't open.
They wasn't open. No.
And so people was in my DM like, what's your recipe for? I'll do a class about it. Register for the class. And so I do have cooking classes, and I have recipes on the website Spoiled Wives Club. So yeah, we here to help.
Absolutely. So Kevin, you have a website, you're on Instagram. Tell us all of you guys' connection information. I know the Spoiled Wife Club is on Instagram. Is the Family Dynamics on Instagram?
Definitely. The Family Dynamics is on Instagram, Facebook. Our podcast is on Apple, all of the major streaming platforms. I'm Kevin __ Meeks on Instagram. I'm Kevin S. Meeks on Facebook. KevinSmeeks.com is my website. So yeah, check me out, check us out. Yeah.
And we on YouTube with the Family Dynamics. And so on YouTube is the Family Dynamics podcast, and it's the visual taping of our actual audio podcast. And then there's also Spoiled Wives Club on YouTube as well.
On behalf of the TMC community, we want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us all.
All right. Thank you all for having us.
So we want to thank you for joining us today. And if this is your first time joining us, go ahead and subscribe. Click the like button and turn on your notifications so you'll be notified every time we upload a video. And if you're listening on iTunes, rate the podcast and leave a review. That helps us get the word out. And we want to invite you to head on over to our leadership podcast, Lead to Greatness, where my husband is interviewing entrepreneurs and great leaders from all around the world every week.
So we want to thank you for joining us today on TMC. Looking forward to hanging out with you again on next week as we continue to help you take your relationship from surviving to thriving. Bye. See you next week.